Alright, man, what's happening, Sean?
What's going on?
As you can see, people rocking them John Pauls. Weller's not here again this week. He had a little something he had to do, so in the heat of the moment, I called Sean. Want to have this guy on a couple times. He can talk, and he's pretty well educated. He's a Galt boy, you know him from past episodes. So, what's the date today, man?
Today is the I don't even know.
Dude, is it the 30th?
My day it is the 30th. Yeah,
September.
So you know what happened today? That I didn't know. You know what happened today on September 30th? James Dean was killed on September 30th.
Oh, damn. I know you had some James Dean love because I seen that car you used to have. Are you still got it?
No.
It was a Porsche, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a big James Dean fan.
Yeah.
Yep, September 30th. It's James Dean Day.
Dude, you know that I try to tell people that movie Giant. Have you seen Giant?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, excellent movie.
Yeah.
If they were going to remake a movie, dude, you should remake Giant because you had Elizabeth Taylor. Mm-hmm. She was badass. You can have some, I don't know.
Yeah, Rock Hudson
was in there. What's his name? Dennis. Hopper. Dennis Hopper.
Yeah, it was an epic movie. That's an epic movie.
Dude.
I mean, it's a little, but you watch old movies like that, you have to understand that the way they did movies, they're kind of slow. They're not like now where it's like everything's like CGI and really fast moving. It's kind of a slower whatever, but I think actors had to be actors.
No, it's legit. I mean, like they were a different style of actor than we have today too. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know how to say it. Maybe they're role playing actors or something like that. Mm-hmm. But there's racism in that movie. You know, when they have they have rags to riches story. Mm-hmm. There's an intermingling love story that goes on in there. I think it's a cool movie. So if you guys are looking for check out a movie, check out Giant, man.
Yeah, check out like on Turner Classic Movies or something. They play that once in a while. It's a long movie, but it's cool. Yeah, I think I'm not sure, but I think. So James Dean did Giant, and then he did Rebel Without a Cause. I forget if it was Giant or Rebel Without a Cause, but the movie wasn't even out yet when he was killed. He was already dead when the movie came out.
What's the one where he goes and he's like the new kid in town?
Rebel Without a Cause.
That's Rebel Without a Cause. Yeah, that was a pretty good flick too, man.
Yeah, he only did like 4 movies.
Yeah,
but
he's big time though, man. I mean,
iconic, dude. I mean, but here's funny people like that. You can look at a lot of people too. Movie actors or whatever. Like Heath Ledger.
I was gonna say Heath Ledger are
just people that die young. It's almost like it immortalizes them.
Yeah, like Brandon Lee.
Right. It's like if they would have lived out their days until they kind of weren't that special anymore, whatever. I mean, I'm not saying they wouldn't be iconic, but it kind of immortalized them.
No, it does, man. Look at Jimi Hendrix, Kurt Cobain. There's a bunch of them, man. Marilyn Monroe's a little older, but
Marilyn Monroe, to be honest with you, like for what she did, like I mean, she was in movies and stuff, but I'm not gonna sit here and say she was like a phenomenal actor or anything, right?
No, she was all beauty. I mean, she was looks.
Yeah, but it's like for her, she's kind of like that. Marilyn Monroe has like that James Dean status where she's like iconic.
Oh yeah,
for all time.
Like the other chick from Breakfast at Tiffany's. Catherine or Katie?
Katharine Hepburn.
Is it? No, I don't think it's Katharine Hepburn.
No, I'm pretty sure it is.
Is that Katharine Hepburn?
Pretty sure.
Dang, man.
I'm pretty sure that's her. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong for all you movie buffs out there.
Yeah, there's some of them, dude.
You're gonna get an email. You idiots don't know anything about movies.
You'll hear it, dude.
We're not Siskel and Ebert, okay? So just check, just calm down.
You will definitely hear it, man. And I love it. You guys throw down the comments on the Facebook page or on the Fellas podcast channel, all that stuff. We appreciate the feedback. So get out to our shout outs this week. I didn't do enough homework, so I'm going to throw out a couple, and then we'll do some ones that we had in the past. But something special happened last week. I didn't get to talk about it. It was in bowling. My man Matt Nelson joined the crew, knuckle deep. So to get in the crew, you have to bowl at least a 259 in league play, which is tough. Oil conditions are different and all that shit. And he did that. He got his tat. So now we're We're a group of 4. Encourage anybody that wants to try and make it, come on out. We'll say what's up to Bull, as always, to J-Bone, my man Dan Denier. Here we go again. Jared Iverson, Lori Rocha, Jennifer Posey, Katie from Albuquerque, and from Mississippi, Charles Banks. And then, Sean, I think you got a couple people you want to shout out, man.
Yeah, I want to throw a shout out to my wife, Heather Farmer, formerly Heather Hinkie, for all you G-Town people.
Yep, the Hinkies.
Yeah, just because, I'm busy right now. I'm a busy guy right now with the campaign and all that stuff. So, her and I don't get spend a lot of quality time. So just want to let her know that, I'm still thinking about her all the time when I'm out there doing my thing. So, yeah.
Dude, that's good love, man. That's good love, dude.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So you're saying oil conditions with bowling. What is that?
Okay, so like when you go in there and you just practice bowl, or you're playing or having fun, right? The oil, it's cost money to throw oil on the lanes.
Oh.
So when you just go into a house and bowl, there's a typical house pattern they have, but it's only oil for like maybe 10 or 15 feet.
Okay.
When you bowl in league, they'll stretch the oil out sometimes 40 feet, man. So that changes the way you throw your ball,
Really?
how fast you throw your ball,
Wow,
your accuracy.
that's technical. That's getting way into more bowling,
Dude, oh yeah.
Me, I don't know, when I go bowling, I'm not saying I'm a real terrible bowler, but I don't bowl regularly.
Yeah.
But my goal is just that my number one goal when I'm bowling is just the ball get to the pins before it hits the gutter.
That's it, dude. That's it. No, it's fun, man, and it is just as a casual thing. I mean, bowling's kind of like one of those things. Like you want to go to the movies, or you want to go bowling, or
bowling's fun, man. It's fun.
For some people, though, they do it just very rarely, and I see them all the time out in the alley, man. It's like I very rarely go to the water slides now, right? Or miniature golfing.
Yeah.
But it's just another outlet for fun. But
I think if I started taking bowling seriously, because I'm really competitive.
Yeah, I know you are.
So when I like to get into something, I'm become competitive, right? So I think if I started taking bowling seriously, it would probably become less fun for me, because it would be like I'll be like too focused on it.
But it's also when you do well in it. When you excel at something and you do well, you get that self-confidence or that self-pride. And I think. For anybody out there, if you're interested in bowling, it costs you maybe $100 to get a ball, a bag, and some shoes. You can get in for $100, and for the rest of your life, you'll never have to wear alley shoes.
Yeah, because alley shoes are cool, man. Those are
you can buy some that look like alley shoes, but the fungus and all that kind of stuff, dude. I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm kind of a germaphobe, dude. So. When I go to the bathroom, I wash my hands before I go to the bathroom, before I touch my junk and stuff, and then I wash my hands afterwards, because I'm kind of a germaphobe. We were bowling one time, and they have a thing in bowling, if you do good, you get a high five. If you mess up, they give you a fist bump, right? And so this dude one time, man, he had like warts and stuff on his hands. And dude, it was totally freaking me out, and I couldn't be that guy like, no, hey, give me an elbow or something like that, but it made me think, dude, you touch people's hands and stuff all the times, and they might have warts, or they could have something going on, and give it to you,
It'd be like Clark Griswold. I don't know which movie it was, where the guy went to shake his hand, he goes, oh, my hands are all chapped.
Yeah, I can't do it right now.
I'm sorry, my hands are just, I didn't put lotion today. I don't want to shake your hand. Sorry.
That's why I'm a hugger, dude. I prefer to hug, man. Give me a hug. And I always try to, smell good. And people are like, oh, you smell good. I say, yeah. Got to make up for the coffee chew breath, So you got to smell good. But so that's Suave. It. We'll get. I know you wanted to do a shout out too to. Was it Blue Angel of Hope?
Yeah. So Blue Angel of Hope. So we did a fundraiser yesterday on Saturday. Down in Old Town, at the coffee shop, we did, and it was to raise money for a local nonprofit called Blue Angel Hope. The girl Kristen who operates it, she what she does is she sends out the blue line flags.
She's a galt girl.
Yeah.
All right.
And she sends these blue line flags to officers who their families and stuff that have been injured or killed, all over the United States, and so she just. We wanted to help her and fund it. a little more so, and it's a good idea. So we call it Coffee and Cars for Cops, because I used to do a Coffee and Cars last year throughout in Old Town, just to bring awareness to Old Town, get people from Galt who don't go to Old Town normally, get a reason for them to go down there and see what's down there, to bring business down there. That was the main purpose of it, not just for people to see old cars and stuff. So anyways, we did this fundraiser yesterday. We did really well. We had a great turnout. We had probably like 50 some, maybe 60 cars. A lot of mostly all Galt folks coming out, and we donated half the proceeds from the coffee shop to her, and then she did a lot of sales herself. And it was great, man. It was good because something like that. We need to make sure we remember our men in blue. There was 2 officers. I was telling you when we were talking off.
In Mississippi?
Mississippi, two officers got killed. I think it was this morning or last night in a small town. It's like 12,000 people. I mean, 12,000 people, that
sucks,
Galt's 25, is 12 is half the size. They were killed, and this guy was like 31. The other officer was like 35. I'm sure they had families, and that's tough, man. Could happen anywhere.
Just getting something, it kind of helps with the healing process, too. Like, when one of my dads passed away, I got the service flag. And it's kind of a reminder whenever I look at it and stuff now, like, hey, he was a good guy. He did some stuff for this country, and that's what they do. They died in the line of service.
I mean, people in Galt, old small town, what are they really doing? They're like, there's like this cliche where like they're arresting jaywalkers and stuff, but that's not the case. We have crime here, even though I think that Galt is a very safe community. I think I feel safe here myself. That's why I raised my family here, and we want to keep it that way. But there still is a risk. It can happen anywhere. We did lose an officer, Kevin Ton here.
Yep.
The first time we'd ever lost an officer in the history of our community, and it's not impossible. In this day and age, it happens a lot. People have no respect.
It's turned up right now, man. People are torn, and the political process has done that. Where I think when we were kids, everybody in Galt. We didn't run from the cops. If the cops came, we weren't running, away from them. We weren't scared of them or nothing like that. I wouldn't say I looked at them as heroes, but I looked at them as somebody that you could trust or somebody you could go to for help. Right. I think that whole outlook on cops has been lost in the last couple of years.
Well, it's funny. It's like I was talking to somebody about this the other day. It's almost like you have 2 opposite ends of the spectrum instead of having that middle, like where you were describing, where
yes.
Police are just, it's a police, it's whatever. It's like on one side you have this whole part of society who's really working hard to bring awareness, such as someone like Kristen, and you have all these people. You drive around town, you see people flying the blue line flags and stuff, and they're really like pro, law enforcement. You see a lot of that with the fire department stuff too. People really put firemen because of 9/11 and everything. And police are really bringing major awareness and putting them up to almost as a hero platform, right?
A pedestal, yeah.
Yeah, but then you have the total opposite end of the spectrum. You have people now who have no respect whatsoever, who are just killing cops all the time and shooting them. It's like they have no respect for police.
Yeah.
And so we went from middle to just 2 polar opposites.
Yeah, it seems like that all the way down the line, man. People either believe this way or that. Like I was saying, we used to have a good cushion in the middle of moderates or people that kind of had ideas on both sides of the aisle, but the way everything's blown up now. I mean, it's constant barrage every day. Something, man. Whether it's Me Too, whether it's Trump doing this or that, or it's cops being killed.
Well, and I'm not going to sit here and say that we've all seen these instances where a police officer will shoot someone, and you look and you go, that was bad judgment right there. That was bad. And I'm not saying that, but it is sad that our media and our society does seem to only focus on those couple instances instead of the other 100 situations where a police officer did something really good or made the right decision. Because they are human beings.
Yeah.
No matter how much you train them, no matter how much that goes in, they're still human beings, and to err is human. And so these are tragedies that happen, but on the other hand, officers are being killed all the time, and it's just I generally think there's just a kind of like a lack of respect that has fallen, like, because to not have respect for something would be like, you just didn't hear about policemen getting shot and stuff back. Unless it was like a bank robbery, it was like a shootout or something, but you just didn't hear like, guy pulled somebody over for a traffic stop and he just like shot the officer. It's like, really? Over like a petty warrant or something?
I have 2 that stand out in my mind, man. The one that And with the phones and social media and all that stuff now, it's more in our face. We're more aware. I mean, when we grew up, we had 3 channels, you know?
Well, 4 if you count channel 36.
Well, that's what I was going to say on the UHF side, VHF side. I mean,
right.
But this lady and her boyfriend or husband, I don't know who it was, but they get pulled over, and the cop comes in from the passenger side of the car where he's sitting, and he tells the officer, he says, "I have a weapon," and he you know, he's gonna. The cop's telling him, "Okay," and then as he goes to pull his weapon out, because he's gonna, and he has a CCW.
Okay.
The cop shoots him. The cop shoots him right there, and the lady's like, "Look at this, my man's just been shot." My man, you know.
Right, I saw that.
Yeah, that one sticks in my mind because the cop totally just, I don't know what he was thinking, but he totally screwed that whole deal up. I mean, that's his fault, man.
And whether or not that situation was, you know, not to talk about that specific situation, but just let's say there's a situation where it's just like, yeah, this guy just made a bad decision, right? It's sad because that's one situation now. It just reflects badly on, you know, then you have people protesting, police brutality and stuff. And I'm not sitting here advocating that like I said, they're not perfect and they don't do the perfect thing every time. But in general, you know, you just have to understand these people risk their lives. You know, it's not like
every day,
it's
man.
It's not like you and I where we're going down and like, you know, I mean, these people they could say, "Hey, sweetie, we'll see you later, honey," to their kids, and then they just don't come home at the end of that day. Like the guy that got killed in Sacramento, you know, the officer that got killed.
Yeah, the Pep Boys.
His memorial service was yesterday. And you know, he had young kids. I mean, that's tragic, man.
It's unbelievable, man. You know, the other one I was thinking of is, and this is what happens when people that very rarely watch the news, or they get a pop up on Facebook or something. That's when they're educated about the situation, you know. And sadly now the media leans one way. So what they do is they take the real negative stories, and they publicize those the most. So that's the only aspect they're getting, man.
Yeah.
But I'm down for cops, man, and I'm always going to back them. I have a game officer. I don't know what they're called.
Game warden.
Game warden. I have a game warden on the corner. I have right next door 2 COs that live next door. I think they're cool, man. Even outside of just them being that, where they're good people, and they live normal lives. They live next door to me, man.
Well, and especially in like a small town, people don't remember that our police they're approachable people.
Yeah,
these are regular people. They have families. They you know, they're here in the community. You know, people shouldn't be afraid to go up and say, you know, "Hey, officer so and so, hey, I'm so whatever," because I think our police officers want to be able to have interaction with the community on outside of always having to deal with criminals.
Well, you know what, man? I do this quite a bit. Me and my wife have gotten the habit of doing this. When we go out to eat, it's just me and her, because we're used to paying for 4 or 6 or 8 people. You know, so when it's just me and her, it's a good occasion. But we'll buy an older couple their dinner without them knowing. And if we see a police officer, we do that all the time.
Right on, man. That's cool.
Yeah, without them knowing. And we told them, we don't want them to know. Just tell them, you know, somebody already paid for your dinner.
It's good karma.
Yeah, and
you know,
it
makes you feel good.
Yeah, pay it forward, man. That kind of thing. So, I know we didn't mean to get on the police topic right off the bat, man, but I got something here I read on social media. I just want to let everybody know, and you can check this out. It's at #FarmerForGalt. It says, on our behalf of the Galt Police Officers Association and the Galt Police Department Civilians Association, we are proud to announce our full support and endorsement of Shawn Farmer for Galt City Council. We firmly believe Shawn's strong roots in the community and his genuine concern for the needs of the citizens of Galt make him an ideal candidate. We have no doubt Shawn will lead with integrity, honesty, and pride. So when I read that, man, I was like, I know Shawn, right? I know you. I've known you for a long time. You seem like the same guy you've always been. You haven't flip-flopped and all of a sudden become this just balls out political guy or whatever. I do strongly believe that you love Galt and you want to keep Galt the way it is. How did this thing come about, man?
So yeah, that was a really big deal. I was very humbled by that and honored to have that endorsement. Basically, what that is the police officers in our community of Galt and the dispatchers. They have 2 separate unions. They came together and decided that they were going to endorse candidates this year. They didn't do that last election, and they just felt like they needed to put their support behind someone who was going to support them. And so we all got interviewed. They actually interviewed all the new candidates. They didn't interview any of the incumbents. They're going to put a statement out in the newspaper so people can read it for themselves. But not to get into that. But I think the consensus was that they just felt like the current council didn't support them.
Right on.
In their contracts.
So there's a cause for them to do this. I mean,
they want to put an exclamation
awesome.
point on it. And so I was blessed to be one of 3 candidates that got an endorsement. They felt that, I was a straight shooter and that I was someone that was going to have their back. I mean, they have the back of our citizens and they need someone to have their back. And so someone in city council, city management needs to have the back of these people. They need to go to bat for these people because they're going to bat for us. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's awesome.
To get that was a big deal personally. Win or lose the election, just to know that I walk away from this experience knowing that someone like our police officers would have that support for me. That's cool.
No, I think it's cool that they're willing to do that too, to put themselves out there because they're honestly saying, hey, well, we took a look at everybody and we decided we want to roll with this guy and this guy.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome, man. Yeah. That's something to put in your portfolio, dude. That's cool.
Yeah, these guys are, like I said, one of them could die tomorrow in our town. They need to have, someone who's in the city, that's on city council, do whatever they can possibly do to make sure that these people are treated right and they get a fair shake. And so, because if they don't, then they just leave and go to other communities and stuff, and we don't want to see that anymore. So.
Oh, man, I like the size of Galt. I mean, we're going to grow. We're going to expand. That just is going to happen. I mean, we can't keep it the way it always is,
And we can't keep Galt exactly the size it is now. That's not healthy. But what we can do is we can be very particular and be very smart about what we want for Galt. Because if we mess that up, there's no takebacks. I mean, you can't.
You can't unsize Galt. You can't do that.
Everybody lives here. Everybody lives here because it's a small town feel and all that. I mean, that's the number one reason. I don't care if you're someone who lived here for, and I say this a lot. It's pretty redundant, but if you live here 4 generations like myself, or you live here all your life like Kev here and I, and we raised, and Kev's family was from here before him. And grandparents and stuff too. So, or if you lived here a month ago, I've talked to recent people that moved here a month ago, and I asked them. They said, "Oh, we feel safe here." I talked to a bunch of seniors, a senior complex, 2 nights ago.
That's awesome, man.
And they said we feel safe here. 2 ladies came from Stockton. They said we moved to Galt because we feel safe here.
Yeah.
Well, I know that's a big contrast. I know, but they said we feel safe here, and we like the small town feel of the community, and we love it, and that's why they love it. So we have to protect that.
Well,
I have to protect that.
Here's the other thing I see, and it's inevitable, man. Galt is stuck right between Santa Cruz and Lake Tahoe. But if you break it down, Galt's neighboring cities are Lodi and Elk Grove. I remember at a point in time when we were kids when Lodi was like 30,000 people. Elk Grove was like 40,000 people, right? So now Galt has got to that stage where we're as big as Lodi and Elk Grove used to be. We have 2 high schools now. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, Elk Grove and Lodi have grown to be as big as Sacramento and Stockton were. I think Elk Grove is like 175,000 people.
Elk Grove is the 30th largest city in California based on size.
Yeah, and then Lodi's blown up too. I mean, it's expanded. There's probably 120,000 people or something in Lodi now.
Actually, Lodi's only like about 70,000.
Oh, okay, not quite as big as I thought.
So Lodi's Lodi has grown, obviously, but Lodi I think has actually done a pretty good job growing. I mean, if you look at how I would.
Well, they had a better. I like Lodi. It's a great setup. I love the Old Town Lodi over by the arches and stuff like that. And the sprawl has happened, on the outskirts of Lodi. But in the process of doing that too, they have incorporated their new stores and all that kind of stuff on the outskirts of Lodi. So it hasn't affected the heart of Lodi. It's still the same as it was when we were kids. It hasn't grown any. That's the same stuff.
Lodi, you're right. Lodi has it's spread evenly. It's very even. The problem with Galt is we've become very lopsided. We have
west and east.
We have a east side, west side. For those of you who aren't familiar with Galt, but we're split in half. And we need to make sure we don't keep focusing on expand. I mean, Galt can only expand one way really because we're kind of landlocked by some farmland and thing. But for me, look, I'm not going to sit here and say that Galt doesn't need to grow, but I'm just not a big fan of just saying let's just build 2,000 more houses.
Yeah,
and we need, there's stuff here we need now. We were talking about bowling. We used to have a bowling alley here.
Yep.
That was great. I remember the bowling alley. We used to go there as
Cherokee
kids.
Lanes, man. Yep.
You and I used to go there.
Yep.
And
shoot, we just lived right around the court. That was awesome, man.
Yep. And we used to have a movie theater. We were talking about that earlier. And we used to have all sorts of things, shopping things. I know Galt's always been kind of a tough retail environment, but we need those things for the people that are here. The people that are here now need those things. We don't need to add 10,000 more people, contrary to what popular belief is. And I know people are going to say, well, he doesn't know what he's talking about else. But look, if you really knew Galt well and you really studied Galt well, you would realize that these things would survive here now.
Yeah, because we have way more people now than we did when we had the bowling alley.
Way more people.
When we had the movie theater, and so what people do now is you want to do something, you go out of town to do it because you can't. There's nowhere to do it here.
Right. Yeah. If your wife and I want to go see a movie and you're going to say you're going to go to Lodi to go to the theater in Lodi, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So well, hey, let's grab something to eat before we go to the movie. What's more likely, that you're going to grab something to eat in Galt and then go to the movie? No, you're probably going to go to a restaurant in Lodi.
Yep.
And you're going to go over to the theater, and then you come out of the theater. Hey, let's get some ice cream. Well, where's that going to be? It's going to be in Lodi.
Yeah.
If you were staying here to do those things, then you'd be free, patronizing patronizing, whatever you say it. Your local ice cream Galt place, and you'd be eating at a Galt restaurant. So you're keeping all that tax money here. It's important.
That's when I was talking to you earlier about the 2-for-1 things. Like you go into a Chevron now, there's a Taco Bell there. You go to a Kentucky Fried Chicken, there's an A&W on the other half. I mean, you get that 2-for-1 stuff. That's the way you do it, but it's not happening in Galt, man.
Yeah, it's sad. So speaking of Galt,
well, let's close out. We were on that, come getting stuff current there, so we'll close that out. And what do you want to go to, man?
I want to talk about some old school G-Town growing up.
Keep it G, dude. It's a G thing, man.
Heck yeah. So Kevin and I grew up on Southdale Court, so you don't know where Southdale is. It's almost like when you say Southdale, it's like when Philly guys, or whatever, it's like, oh, Southie. They're like,
oh, yeah.
Well, we're Southdale. It's not like that, but it's...
Well, we actually were like the farthest subdivision south in Galt, man. I mean...
Well, at the time, now there's a come down...
We're by the cemetery.
But that was the perimeter of town.
Yeah.
And it was this little loop, it was just like a little circle.
It's not actually a court.
It's not a court.
Like
it does an L, yeah. But it was like our whole world was right there.
Yeah.
Like sometimes we would go off maybe on Melody Lane or whatever, but mainly our whole life was at the end of... There was like these invisible borders at the end of the streets, right?
Well, we actually had a block. Like you say, I'm going to go around the block. There was an actual block that we did go around. Like I remember we were racing bikes, and this guy could kill it on a bike. I mean, you don't give yourself enough props, dude. You're like a Galt icon we talked about, and this is a Galt icon right here on BMX, man. Some of those pictures you have are straight up, they really are iconic, man. And you were doing that stuff in the 80s, dude. You see these ex-gamers doing stuff now. It's because of guys like you that laid the groundwork, man. The one where you got the bike on the front forks and wheel, and your chest is on the seat, and you got to balance, dude. Yeah. I mean, come on, dude.
It's a Miami hopper. That's what they call that trick. All the tricks have names.
Dude, is so sick.
I remember, going way back before that, like way when we were real young on Southdale. Remember we used to build ramps, right?
Oh, hell yeah,
So
dude.
the thing is, we build ramps, and like you'd build a ramp, you'd find a piece of wood, and it's
a tire.
Oh, I got the great piece of wood. It's like a perfect, you'd have like a tire. Like, hey, does your dad have a spare tire in the garage we could lay in? And you put the wood on the tire, and then of course you can't just jump the ramp, right? That's boring.
Yeah.
You have to jump over something.
So
we're like, we need everybody to bring their bikes so we can lay down all the bikes, right? And it was like this. I think it's kind of an ode to like Evel Knievel, because he would always jump like,
oh yeah, dude.
He jumped 10 buses, and then he's jumping 20 buses. So it was like, how many bikes could you jump, right? Well,
people. I remember us laying down, and you jump over us.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but it was like funny. Remember, we because there was only so many kids that live on Southdale.
Yeah.
So we'd be like, hey, go on the next street over and see if so and his brother and his sister can bring their bikes too. We need more bikes. So we have 15 bikes, and then I remember, this is funny. I remember getting down the street, and everybody's like watching. You're like, oh. And I get down there, and you like pump yourself up. You're like, whew. And you're like psyching yourself out for that jump, right? And you're sitting on it, and then you sometimes I get going, you kind of take that little drive-by and you curve off and kind of look at the ramp, make sure you had your right speed or whatever.
Yeah, or the ramp wasn't going to smash and fall down, dude. Oh, man, because I remember some epic bells you having too, dude. I remember you got your elbow all tore up one time, dude. I was, man.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of.
I'm gonna give some shout outs to the Southdale Court crew, man, because we had Kelly Mooney, Jason Snively.
Oh man, I heard that name in a while.
Greg Flory, Misty Harcourt, Kevin Whittemore, Chris Whittemore, Christy Jacobson, Stacy and Sherry Harrison back then. The Blevins, Templetons, Freddie Templeton, Stephanie.
We had
Chris and Lisa Lofton.
Troy
Lofton.
Troy and Lisa, and they were older than us. I mean, they're a little older than us, but also too. Dean Fry was older than us. He lived at
Dean was cool, dude.
Yeah, so he died, right?
No, I didn't hear. No.
Yeah, he had I think he had a brain aneurysm or something.
Oh,
and he died.
Shit! R.I.P. Dean.
And his wife was pregnant with twins when he died.
Oh my god!
So they never even knew their dad. Yeah, it's a tragic story.
Dude, man. That is crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Sorry. Shout out to Pat. I know that's his mom, Pat, right?
Yeah, Pat and Earl. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I know Earl quite a bit from the Historical Society and stuff. I see him all the time. He's such a hard worker. That guy.
Man.
Hardest working guy. One of the hardest working guys I know. But
another one, Nano.
Oh yeah, and Nano and what was this? I know
Faustino was the other guy around the corner.
Yeah, Nano. What's Nano's little brother's name though? I see him all the time. His kids play ball and stuff.
Galvin. Their last name was Galvin, right? Nano Galvin.
Blanking on the name right now. Gosh, I feel bad. But yeah, that was our little crew, and it's like everybody had their little crew, and like somebody said, you want to know where everybody was at. You drive down the street and you see all the bikes piled up on the lawn. Oh, they're over at so-and-so's house. All the bikes are piled up on the lawn.
Yeah. You had a pool though too, man. That was, it was so fun to go to your house because you had a pool.
I think I was the only person on the block with a pool. I think.
And you had a diving board, man.
Yeah.
I remember you doing gainers and backflips and stuff like that. Because this guy's 2 years. We just figured it out. I thought he was a year older than me. He was 2 years older than me, so I always looked up to him. He's always doing badass shit. And then we had Troy, like you said. Troy always had like fireworks. And,
Troy was older than us, so he always had. He lived right across from us, and you lived down a little bit in the corner.
Yeah.
And Troy, I was telling you, I see Troy once in a while. He'll be over at his parents' house. Parents still live in the same spot.
Yeah.
And I remember
it still looks the same, man. I mean, immaculate, dude.
Same house, yeah. I was telling Troy about something, and it's funny. He didn't remember this at all. He's like, I don't remember that. And I don't know if he was just like, oh, that's going to embarrass you. I don't remember. But I was telling him, we used to do these things. We call it recording.
Yeah.
So we're like, hey, man, you want to go record? Okay, cool. So what we do is we have these.
Yeah.
You remember?
Yeah, I do.
You remember? Okay. Yeah. Because I think we brought you in, and you did it once too.
Yeah.
We had these big comic books. And they were like Star Wars comic books. They were like these big oversized comic books, and we had the old school tape recorder where you had to
press it down,
push the two buttons at the same time in a cassette, and we would just read the comics. Like I would be like, I would be like the Luke Skywalker, and he'd be like Darth Vader, and we would take turns doing the voices, and we would just do like voiceovers. And I don't know why we did it because we never really listened to him before. I think one time we did go back and listen to see what we sound like, but and it'd be like. We do the sound effects like the with the lightsabers and stuff, and then Troy,
I totally remember.
Troy would be like all
his Darth Vader.
You just do the Darth Vader, and we'd always try to like.
Dude, he was cool, man. I mean, for him to kick, because I think he was probably, I don't know, 8 years older than me or so, dude.
No, so he's like, I think he's like 4 years older than me.
So that would be 6. Yeah, he's 6 years.
Yeah.
But he'd still kick it with me. I walked to school with him, man. I mean, he was cool.
He was and he had fireworks. We used to have the black cats. We'd go out in the back and we'd have the little army men.
Yeah, drill a hole in them and
put the firework in there and light it and then run and blow. These are the days when nowadays people wouldn't let their kids do that stuff.
But his dad is meticulous. I mean, everything has its place. Yeah. It's their house always clean and shit. Yeah. But I remember they had like a wheelbarrow full of sand.
Right.
And you could put the little men in that.
That's what we did in the wheelbarrow.
His dad was cool with us blowing shit up.
Yeah, but it's funny how the kids, the parents just let kids do that stuff. It's just free range parenting.
Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna go out and ride our bikes. Okay, we'll be back before dark. We didn't have cell phones. Nobody knew. It would just take off.
Well, we would say, we're going uptown or something like that, right?
Yeah. Well, when we got older, we go uptown. We were younger, we stayed on the block.
Yeah, but then, it was like. Really, like less than a quarter mile away. I mean, it wasn't that far.
Yeah, no, yeah. Uptown Galt from where we lived was like you could probably throw a rock to it.
Yeah, man. And Galt has a flea market. I'm pretty sure everybody knows about the Galt flea market. But before it was a flea market the way it is now, it used to be like a rodeo. They had like a rodeo thing.
They had a horse track.
A stadium. That's what it was.
It was a horse race track. Yeah.
And behind the rodeo, between where we lived off of. what is that, Melody?
Mm-hmm.
There was these hills. We had the dirt hills. We called it the dirt field.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd go have dirt clod fights, set up tracks.
We'd go there. We'd haul a shovel over there, and we'd like be able to jump and
dig holes and shit,
and ride around there. And yeah. Dude, that was before the flea market. I was in the old flea market ground. The flea market was in the middle of the old racetrack on the blacktop, and they had like old wooden tables and stuff.
Exactly.
And the horse track was surrounded the perimeter, and the railings were kind of all busted, and it was kind of really. I mean, thinking back now.
No, I can remember setting up the flea market tables, and with a span in between them, and then you would get riding on it and then hop.
Yeah, we'd ride on the tables. We would go in the flea market grounds like nobody. We wouldn't even get in trouble for it. We would just go in there and we'd rearrange the tables, and we'd ride on the tables and like hop over the gaps in the tables. And I used to ride my dirt bike. I would take my dirt bike over there and ride around in the flea market grounds.
No, I remember your dad showed up in his motorcycle one time, dude, and he was killing it, just hitting our bike jumps in his motorcycle, just getting loose, dude.
Right.
And I was like, oh man, Evel Knievel, dude.
Right. I remember people be like, dude, Dad's so cool. He did a wheelie on his motorcycle.
Well, your dad was the only dad too that would show up and come out and talk to us or bullshit every now and then.
You know what's crazy though, to think back? So at that age, you know what age my dad was?
Yeah.
He was like 35, 37 years old. You know, at that time, you think, man, it's just hard to picture your parents that young. Like,
I know it goes by.
I remember, dude, toys. So I remember you had this toy, dude, when we were real young.
Yeah.
You had the Dukes of Hazzard car.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So Dukes of Hazzard car.
G.I. Joe men.
With the
they were Bo and Luke.
Yeah, Bo and Luke. Dude, the little. Remember the roof flipped open and you put the guy in there.
Slide him in there. Yeah.
Because I mean, dude, when we were kids, so I mean, Dukes of Hazzard was like the thing. Friday night Dukes of Hazzard.
Chips was big too. I like chips.
Oh yeah, chips and all of. But Dukes of Hazzard, like at a certain time period, where Friday night Dukes of Hazzard come on. I mean, you'd hear like Waylon Jennings. Started
just some good old boys.
Yeah, and you would like just be. There was no TiVo. You couldn't pause it. You were planted in front of the TV to watch Dukes. I mean, that was like the climax of the Friday evening was watching Dukes of Hazzard.
You could be doing anything in the house, like I don't know, playing, mess around, whatever. But you hear that song come on, you're like, oh shit!
You're like, oh, I'm missing it.
Boss Hog, Cooter.
Yeah.
You know what gets me too? Like they've taken that movie, that series completely off TV because it had a Confederate flag on the top of the car. But you still got Bill Cosby blocks on like El Rey, dude, that are 3 hours long. Cosby Show. I don't see. Isn't there a double standard there, man?
Yeah, I mean, our world has become very politically correct, and I think, the Confederate flag, obviously, not to get too political again off our topic, but the Confederate flag obviously is, people in the South are very proud of it because of their heritage. I know it represents a really dark heritage, but I mean, I don't think having on the roof of a car, they were like preaching racism or anything,
No, they're just basically saying they're from the South. And this is another thing, man. My sister lives in Georgia now, right? So even black folks in Georgia sport that Confederate flag, They sport it, man. They're proud of their Southern heritage, man.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's not just completely looked at as like, oh, it's a Nazi thing or something like that. No, they have their own culture. They have their own culture there, man.
Yeah, but what is sad is that, like you said, to pull a show off TV. I mean, you can't. I don't know. I mean, it's like we were talking about Giant with James Dean, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in that movie, these people were oil tycoons, right? And they had I think in that show they had
good movie, man. I want to watch it now.
Or like even going back, let's look at like what's the one where what's the iconic movie where there's like the house burns in it and
Gone with the Wind.
Gone with the Wind, right? So in Gone with the Wind, they have servants and stuff.
Yeah.
Black servants and stuff like that. I mean, so I think what we have to understand is like, I don't think we need to go out and like pull movies like, oh, we're gonna pull Gone with the Wind off, and we're never gonna show that on Turner Classic Movies because
there were slaves in it.
I mean, you can't erase history. I think you should learn from history. It's just
from point of view, because if you have a movie like Roots or Amistad or something like that where it's taking it from the black slaves' point of view, then they're like, oh, well, we can roll with that. But I don't remember any racism coming blatantly out in Dukes of Hazzard, man.
No, it wasn't.
I don't remember that.
And you know what? And we didn't grow. And you know what? And for all these shows that apparently may have portrayed that kind of thing. We didn't grow up with that mindset.
No.
Like, I mean, we didn't.
If anything, it was like cops and robbers, Dukes of Hazzard, because Duke boys are always trying to get away from Boss Hogg and Roscoe.
Yeah.
You know, so you had the car chases and
You know,
stuff.
I always thought it was funny to get back on the Dukes of Hazzard. You know what's funny is like they would, so Roscoe and remember it was Enos and Cletus or the other deputies, remember? So they would chase the Duke boys all over these dirt roads all over the county, right? And then finally it would result in like the Roscoe crashing his car or whatever, right? It's like, dude, for such a small town police force that had like 2 cop cars, I mean, how could they afford to go through that many cop cars, like always jumping them into ponds and crashing them? But it's like he would chase and the Duke boys would get away, right? Well, they knew where the Duke boys lived. Yeah, they couldn't just roll over there to arrest him later.
Like, oh, we didn't get him right now. We can't get him.
It's like it was almost like they have like an unspoken rule. It's like, well, if you get away from me, then you're okay until next time I see you.
Exactly, man. It was like kind of Scooby-Doo at the end, though, too. They always had a reason why they were okay or why they're not getting in trouble. But another one was Daisy Duke, man. Daisy Duke blew that up, dude. I mean, oh, man, her Daisy Duke shorts.
Was it Kathleen Bach?
Oh,
Kathleen Bach.
I know she got high mileage. She's old now, but I remember this dude playing cars. Like, say this was a Hot Wheel, because we used to play Hot Wheels and Matchbox and all that too, and we'd dig it out. I remember when my grandpa dug a pool for the Doughboy, and there was just a big hole.
I remember that
with all the dirt around it, and we made it like a racetrack to like go all the way around the Doughboy, and that was one lap and shit. Yep. But this guy, like, I would take my car and hit a jump. I go woo and land it right. But you would be like this, no. Do you remember that? You were like doing a slow motion, and then you look at it from different angles and stuff. And,
it's like filming a movie. Got to get all the angles.
Yeah,
I was ahead of my time, man. I
know you were, dude, because I was like, what is this guy doing? What am I doing wrong? I'm like this, like.
You're looking over. You're all, you know what, man? I'll tell you what. I think now that I think back about it, I think maybe it had a little bit to do with being like OCD or something. Because you're like, okay, here's my Hot Wheel. It's like I'm jumping. It's like, no, I don't like the angle. The angle wasn't just right. It's like we need a different angle. Oh, wait, I got to get a different perspective. We need to look at it from this angle.
Because in Dukes of Hazzard, you would see like the bottom of the car. You know, you'd see the different wheels and stuff. And
that's probably where I got it from.
I know you were lining it up like that. You were like, okay, now I see the wheel right there, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this jump like this.
Remember how cheesy like the filmmaking was? Well, for most shows back then, that just the way people did films and movies and was so cheeseball. Like you have the car like jumping through the air, and you see the car was like totally front end heavy, like the car's literally gonna just land on the nose and bounce, and it's like coming through the air, and then next scene just all land all smooth, and they're just.
And I remember this to a T, man. They were jumping over an old Cricket bridge, like the bridge just broke down, and it says bridge out and all that stuff, and they're coming up to it. And when the car hits, it's like nose heavy, and you see the bumper crunch, and you see the frame bend and everything.
Right.
And then like the tire went off to the side.
Camber.
Yeah. So that car is just jacked up, but then they cut to the next scene, and it's And I was like. There was a dent on that car. Where'd that dent go?
You never saw Bo and Luke like out in the barn, and Uncle Jesse come out and be all, dinner's ready, boys, and they're like, oh yeah, we're just fixing our A-arm that we bent on that last jump. I mean, they were never tweaking on the car or nothing. It was like
they had Cooter, dude. Cooter fixed everything, man.
Yeah. Oh jeez. Yeah, man. That dude. That I'm trying to think of some other cool shows that we had. Or I remember, so we were talking about channels earlier. Sunday morning was like the craps, dude. There was never anything good on Sunday morning, right?
Church stuff, dude.
There was it was all church shows, right? And then, but
Saturday morning, Your House and Legos, though, that was the shit, dude.
Yeah, Saturday morning, you had all the good cartoons. But they did have a couple things on, I think Sunday we had like Johnny Quest.
Or Thundar. Thundar the Barbarian, yeah.
Right. Man, there's some good
Captain Caveman.
They have some. I forget if it's the Cartoon Channel or I don't know, but they have some of that stuff they throw back.
Yeah, I've seen it.
But there's no. You know what show they don't have on? Let me tell you. We're talking about old shows that we grew up with. You know what show they don't have on TV anymore? I know you mentioned Dukes of Hazzard, but I think Dukes of Hazzard, by the way, actually I think is on CMT Country Channel. I think it does once in a while. I think I've seen it, but you know what show you never see on TV ever again? And I've heard that it has something to do with the rights of the show, but. When is the last time you ever saw an episode of $6 Million Man?
Oh yeah, I haven't, man.
You don't.
People don't.
Somebody told me that that Lee Majors, played Steve Austin, whatever, that he has some kind of rights to the show and that he doesn't want to release. I don't know, but dude, you never see it on a throwback, never, ever.
Well, they should update. That's another thing they should update. Besides Giant, because I think Giant would be a great movie, storyline, all that kind of stuff with today's stars. Just pop them into those roles. But $6 Million Man, you'd make it like $6 trillion man now.
Right, you have to account for the rise of inflation, right?
Yeah.
Like the $150 billion man.
Yeah, I mean it would be legit, dude, and he could have so much more powers and stuff. Because remember his jumps, like he would just jump, but it would be like
Yeah. Well, it was funny how they would show him running, but when they show him running, he's running super fast, but yet they slow it in slow motion.
Yeah.
So it's like, think about the concept of that. This guy is supposed to be running super fast as a car to catch up, right?
Yeah.
But we're going to show him running in slow motion. It's like, and as a kid, you're like, oh man,
look how fast he's running.
That's so cool.
But my favorite episode is because Bigfoot was in $6 Million Man.
Oh yeah, I remember that episode.
And he would just show up every now and then. You would have Bigfoot in an episode, but
right.
the episode where he fights the $6 Million Man, $6 Million Man rips Bigfoot's arm off, and Bigfoot's a robot. So it's all of a sudden like boom, boom, like
you're like, oh,
shit.
Bigfoot's a robot.
Bigfoot's
You're like looking at your buddy sitting on the floor watching. You're sitting there Indian style, as kids did, watching in front of the TV on the rug, and then it happens. You're just all, and you look over your friend. You're like, no way.
Yeah. Yeah, it totally blew my mind. I think it was at night because I remember I was with my grandpa and I looked at him like,
how thin does the storyline have to get when you're like the writer for a show like $6 Million Man? You're like, man, we got to come up with some new material. Wait, I got it, dude. Let's have Steve Austin fight Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, that's a great idea. And then you go pitch to manager.
It was more like
then
this.
You go to pitch to
hey man, I got an idea, bro.
And then you go pitch to management, right? Right. And then of course you had the Bionic Woman.
Oh yeah,
because Bionic Man can't be by himself. He has to have his equal counterpart.
Lindsay Wagner.
She had to have an equal counterpart. Yeah.
Dude, and she was tough too, man. I mean, she could pick a car up and throw it.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That show was ahead of its time, though, man. If you think about the concept, it was pretty cool.
It really was, man. They could incorporate a lot of that because they're remaking shows. Look at Magnum PI just came out.
Yeah, I saw that.
MacGyver just came out.
Yeah.
I mean,
but you wonder when they remake some of these shows that they're going to. Are they going to kind of just ruin the show? They're just going to kind of ruin the old
They're PC in it. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
They retool the show and they put a PC angle on it. Every show now has a gay person in it.
Like the A-Team. Yeah.
It does, man. I mean,
like the A-Team. They redid the A-Team movie, right?
Yeah.
So if you ask somebody, you seen A-Team? Oh, yeah, I saw that movie. No, I'm talking about the old. So people just tend to forget about the original, the good A-Team.
Well, and my kids. This is something that I did with my kids. All the 80s movies, the 70s movies and stuff I saw when I was a kid, the good ones, I can knock them out, like Goonies, Beetlejuice, Raiders of the Lost Ark. These go-to Kroll, Legend. I mean, I could keep going. But my kids have never seen these movies. Yeah. So they're new movies to them.
I know.
So bringing my kids up, I showed them all this old stuff. And, like the A-Team, because you had Face, B.A. Baracus,
Hannibal,
the Colonel, Hannibal. Yeah, I mean, you had a whole crew there of people you could relate to in some fashion.
I was talking to my daughter who's 21, and her boyfriend, who she's had for quite a while. We were talking about something on the subject. They'd never seen Top Gun.
Oh,
I'm like,
man.
You've never seen Top Gun? Even with all this show, because they show that on TV. It's on TV once in a while. You see it on TNT or something, whatever.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we never see. I'm like, what? It's like there's certain movies that that just define the. I mean, it's sad that some of these younger kids should watch this older stuff. Well,
because you had the older values too. You had right from wrong in every episode. There's right from wrong, or there's something being told. Remember Punky Brewster? They tackled stuff like abortion. They tackled incest. Drug use. They always had a theme.
And at the end of the show, there was a moral story. Yeah.
And she'd be like, gee, Mom, I do really understand why I should think that,
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. So, going back to the A-Team thing, it was funny. We never realized the kid, A-Team never killed nobody.
Right.
You know, they would shoot, had their mini 14s and all that, right? They'd always shoot like the tire and the Jeep would like flip, and nobody ever got killed.
Yeah.
They never shot anybody. They never killed anybody.
Like,
and so us as kids, so, you know, not trying to get into a political subject, but taking this forward into what goes on nowadays with kids and guns and stuff, right? It's like we grew up watching these shows where they had guns and all that stuff, but people didn't get killed like back. By now, it's like stuff's really graphic.
Well,
video games are graphic, movies are graphic, really graphic. You know, and it's like no big deal. And
the sex too. Sex is out there everywhere. I mean, the stuff they show on TV now, they would never show anything like that, even on a daytime soap opera. No. If you saw a lady in her robe, like a full dress gown robe, neck and ankles is all you see, right?
Right.
Like on Dynasty or something like that.
Right.
You'd be like, oh, she's in a
nightgown. Yeah, the only time you'd ever see something like that would be like on HBO, which was like, you know, I mean, you had to be, like when I was a kid, man, I didn't have HBO.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, only like one kid I knew growing up, he had HBO. You had to be rich if you had HBO. Like, oh, you got HBO, that's something, you know? And it would be like those R-rated movies. And the parents would never let you, you're not watching that movie.
Or Skinamax.
That's R-rated, right?
Yeah.
But now it's like that stuff is just mainstream.
No, you watch an X-Men movie or something like that, or even Spider-Man, one of the new superhero movies that come out, right? There's some type of sexuality in there.
Yeah.
And even now they're changing characters now. Like, I don't know if you heard, but Bert and Ernie, right? For Sesame Street, one of the writers come out and said, oh yeah, Bert and Ernie are gay. And the guy, Frank Oz, that created them and stuff, he's like, no, they have no sexuality. Bert and Ernie were used to show that different people that look different, they're different colors, different sizes, they're just different people, that they can get along. It has nothing to do with sexuality. They have no sexual organs.
They're making it, well, again, for lack of a better word, they're making it political, sort of.
Yes.
They're making it PC. They don't need to do that. It's just, or Bert and Ernie is what it is.
That's it. It's Bert and Ernie,
And if you think about Sesame Street as general, Sesame Street really like broke up a lot of boundaries. I mean, you had if you really look at where it was filmed and the character was like inner city, right?
Yeah.
You know, and you had Hispanic, you had Asian. There was Asian actors on there. There was those black people, white people. They had an eclectic mixture of the people that were on there, not the puppet characters, but the people, right?
Yes.
And then the puppet characters were a big wide range too. It was like, you know, Big Bird, and there was Oscar and Bert and Ernie and all these other people, right? So it's like, why you got to change that up? It was actually perfect the way it was. It was cutting edge at its time, and you could just keep it that way, and it would still be relevant.
You also had like remember the Muppets would come on like Sunday nights, right?
Yeah.
The Muppet Show, and you hear that song, and that was another one. You hear the song, you're like, oh shit, it's starting. I better get in there.
Yeah.
They had so many things, man. Like, and they'd have people on there like Liza Minnelli or Chuck Norris or, you know,
the host,
Neil Diamond, and they dealt with issues and stuff now. And the kids nowadays don't have that type of thing. Now the kids are looking at like Bob's Burger or Ren and Stimpy, or, I mean, that's too old. Ren and Stimpy's too old, but
I'm like, really? They're watching that?
They're getting these values taught to them in a different perspective, and it's a lot more in your face shit, man. Like, it's not giving you a black or white situation.
Yeah, it's I think, I guess, going back to like I said, we grew up as kids. People just didn't. I mean, think about, we went to even grammar school, high school, whatever. I mean, could you even imagine someone bringing a gun to school and shooting someone in high school? That would never cross your radar. That would never happen. So let me ask you. So there is, not to get into a gun topic, but there's not less or more guns now than there was in those days. And the laws are relatively the same. Actually, maybe laws are a little more stricter now.
They're stricter,
but yet we have more gun violence. So I feel that it's a society issue. Our society has become immune to, it could be lack of respect, like we talked about earlier with people shooting police. People have less respect for life, I think. Kids have less respect for whatever. I genuinely feel that like movies and media and even video games and things, and the graphic of that plays into a kid's mindset.
Okay, let's say it's like, 12% of the problem is video games, right? Because when we have video games, we have like Pong, Asteroids,
Missile Command. Cubers. It was all just like, it wasn't even look like a real.
I mean, and as video games progress, people's attitudes progress and stuff too, man. And the video games went from where you might shoot somebody, right, and they die, like, and then die. Now you have them doing headshots where the brain gets blown out. And
so, or like Grand Theft Auto, where the point of the game is where you like go and yank somebody out of a car and shoot them and carjack their car.
Or you pull over and pick up a prostitute and you can get down on the
and
car.
People, and I know, see, the problem is, I know those you know, you have to say, okay, well, there's freedom of we live in a free country where media can be whatever and it's free, but a lot of these games they're targeted towards an older gamer,
and they
right?
have that mature audience.
But parents don't check that. I've been in the situation where I've literally been behind someone, and and kids, Mommy, I want to buy this game, and they okay, put it on the counter. Okay, yeah, I guess you can get that. And it's like Grand Theft Auto 4, and the kid's like 8. I'm like, really?
No, exactly, yeah.
Parents not even looking at that.
They did have stuff like that when we were kids, but it was like your parents wouldn't let you do that shit.
But we didn't have as much though. Like there was no video game, dude. There was no video game that was that
let's
graphic.
go. So Pong was the first one. Remember, just the two. So there was Pong, then Atari, then like in television, ColecoVision.
Wow, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, ColecoVision, and then
stuff like this right here.
Yeah,
like this, like football with little red dots, like you pass. It wasn't like now games like a guy looks like a real football player.
Yeah, this is just the sound of this game gets me going off, man. But
that's the kickoff.
That's the kickoff, yeah.
And then
watch when you get tackled, it makes it yeah.
Old school right there, man.
Yeah.
Hours of fun right there. Hours of fun.
Dude.
So
forever.
see, playing a game like this,
yeah.
and then if I have social issues going on, if say I was a kid, say I'm a 11-year-old kid and I'm playing this game and I have social issues, playing a game like this is not going to funnel into my desire to go get a gun and go shoot my classmates.
Not at all.
But I'm playing Grand Theft, so I have this theory
there's no aggression here. There's no.
And you can take low class, middle class. Obviously, there's no economic status that's going to make somebody be a shooter, not shooter. We've seen all, and it doesn't mean big city, small city, Columbine, all these city. Those are all small cities.
I have heard this, and I haven't heard the media press this, right? Okay. But every single one of these shooters come from a broken family home. It's not a mom and dad that have been together for 30 years, right? These kids, most of them, the shooters as kids, had no father figure strongly in their life. And that is a big thing that's overlooked consistently. If you check every shooter, man, I think it's like 92%.
Well, it's funny though, but I came from, my parents divorced when I was like a year old.
But you have a strong father figure.
That's right. My father was always in my life.
That's
my
right.
Was always, and that's important.
You see?
Yeah, I definitely think I think that many factors play into this. That's one of them. I think another factor is you could have, let's say, the couple who is married, but they just don't pay attention to the son. They don't pay attention to what the kid's doing. The kid's on the video games, and then the kid. The thing of it is, I think it's like let's say this kid is bullied at school, and he's an outcast, right?
Yeah.
And then one day, but at home in his basement when he comes home from school, in this game that he plays, he's a somebody. Like he could be like the highest scoring person.
He has the most headshots or the most kills,
right. So then one day this reality and this world that he immerses himself in, just converge, and then he goes and gets dad's gun and goes to school and says, "I'm going to show these guys
I really
am," and then that's what takes place. I definitely think that if someone who watching this now doesn't think that is not a part of it, at least, I think is naive.
No, it is, man, and this is what I was getting about saying video games are 12%, right? Let's say the father thing is another 8%. You add up these different things. It's not one thing that's a problem, but it's a collection of many things. You put the right pieces together, and you have a shooter. Mm-hmm. So if you can start identifying those pieces and what it takes to make a shooter, then we'll be ahead of the process. You're never going to stop it. With guns, man, this is the problem with guns. I like guns. I shoot all the time. My family does. My girls do. I'm very proud that my girls know how to take a gun apart, reassemble it, and shoot it. They know the safety aspects of shooting.
Yeah, that's good.
That's the biggest thing, man.
I mean, my kids don't know how to assemble a gun or reassemble, but I did. I'm a gun owner myself, and I did teach my kids, my 3 daughters, to shoot. We would start with like a 10-22 Ruger rifle, like something that would kick a start off, and they've shot in some pistols and maybe some little higher caliber stuff, but taught them to shoot, you teach them gun respect.
No, that's
you have
it. The
to teach
safety.
the respect of the gun. Yeah.
Easiest way for them to learn about what a gun does is because in TV it's one thing, but in real life it's another. Like we'll take a 2-liter bottle out there. You shoot that 2-liter bottle with a 22 round, right? And it just, I mean, a small ass caliber weapon like that. But what happened was I've raised 6 kids. So as I take the older kids shooting, my younger kids want to go. And I say, hey, you want to go? Take this gun apart, put it back together. Once you figure that out, we'll go shooting. And I start them out with BB guns, and then we go to CO2 BB guns, and then we go to the ones that pumps up. We got all kinds of little pellet guns and stuff like that. And once my youngest daughter, Maya, went from shooting Pepsi cans to shooting bottle caps, she's dialed in, man. I mean, if you can hit a bottle cap, from 20, 25 yards away, you got a pretty good idea of how to handle a weapon. So then when we go out to the range and they're around other people, and that's another thing, man. You get out there, you got your headphones on, or your earplugs. That sound and that percussion, boom! You hear a 50 cal go off or a 44 Magnum, people shooting these large caliber weapons. You feel that on you, and it really puts reality on those kids.
Right.
Like, hey, we're messing with something that can kill you.
Yeah. I got a friend of mine who's a CO, and he takes his son. His son is in high school, and he's taught his son. They go out and shoot full on. Not fully automatic. Obviously, it's illegal, but they shoot all sorts of tactical type guns and pistols and whatever. And his son, his son is probably well more versed than you and I probably ever hope to be. He shot everything there is, and I think it's important. I just think it's important because my dad would take me BB gun hunting. We'd take BB gun. One thing we do on a Saturday is go load our BB guns, whatever. And
I remember going out there off of Orr Road, out in that vineyard or whatever it was out there, and shooting crows and stuff. Man.
Yeah. And my dad always said, "Don't shoot the pretty, don't shoot robins because they're the pretty birds, but the crows are the, You always have it. It was, I don't know, it's weird as bird ethics. Don't shoot a certain type of bird."
Well, that one farmer guy was like, I'll give you a quarter for every dead crow because it was eating the crows would eat his crops up and stuff like that.
So to shoot,
pests.
So to be taught to respect a gun and all that. And I would never, here's the thing, because I was raised that way, and because I was raised to teach a gun, I never ever it would ever cross my mind that I was going to go even if I was mad at a friend of mine or like I was down and out about something, it never crossed my mind about going and getting a gun, even though I actually knew how to use the gun was the thing. That's what's. But I never thought about that, and I don't know if like I said, a lot about the respect and being taught the gun. But again, going back to the media, I didn't watch TV shows. I didn't watch things where kids went in and shot. I mean, let me ask you a question. Do you ever remember a movie or a TV show ever, as us growing up, where you had a kid that went into a school and shot a bunch of people?
No, not at all, man.
I don't remember any movie like that.
You think of kid shows when we were kids is you got like Webster, Punky Brewster, what's the one where the little girl was a robot? Small Wonder.
Yeah. But but even the shows like we talked about, like your Dukes of Hazzard and your A-Team and your ones where like Battlestar Galactica and all your space whatever. But none of these had even episodes where like a kid would go in and like just mass murder. I mean, you just didn't. But we have movies like that now.
Yeah.
I mean, we have movies. Well, maybe not movies where a kid, because it's probably a really taboo subject. They wouldn't have a movie that would, but we have that kind of thing, and we have these games and stuff, and I don't know, man.
Well, we'll not be able to change it, but we're getting close to the end here, man, so we'll close that out. We had topics we didn't even hit on there, man. I think we got the bunch of it, but closing stuff, man. What do you got, man?
As far as campaigns for city council, Wednesday we got a candidate forum. It's going to be at the Galt High School auditorium. So all the candidates will be there fielding some questions that have been put in. So if you have a question you'd like to have asked, you can email the Galt Herald and say this is a question I'd like to see asked, and they'll be filtering through all those. And other than that, November 6th, is election day. You can
get out and vote, man.
Yeah, get out and vote. I want to thank my buddy Kevin for rocking the Farmer for City Council. This is the Galt High version, Galt High School. That's my alumni. But today I brought this is my Liberty Ranch version.
Both sides of the fence.
You got to represent. I had a daughter who went to Liberty Ranch. I had two daughters who went to Galt High School, and myself, Galt High alumni. So got to represent. So
I was thinking about this too, man. There's a lot of stuff that's gone on in the past couple of weeks that. Like the drive-through dinners FFA put on at the High Liberty, and Galt's got one coming up soon. The farm to fork deal that just happened.
I went to the farm to fork. It was great.
You were saying this cops and cars deal.
Yeah.
See, I don't feel like we have enough heads up when this stuff's going on. We have a little message board down here on Walnut and Carillion that kind of let us say like the Kevin Ton runs this weekend or something. Mm-hmm. And there's one over by Stoner Park. I don't know what the real name of that park is. Smud Park.
I haven't heard it called Stoner Park in decades.
I still call it Stoner Park, dude.
Oh my God.
But Galt needs something like a community board or something. I see the high school just put up a new light thing.
Yeah, it looks good, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty cool,
it looks
man.
good.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a little bit. I don't like change, golf, because that's like our school, right? But it looks good.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, I kind of don't like it. Looks like you're going to prison with all the fences and shit they got up now.
Yeah,
man.
the fence, a whole other topic. The fence thing. I'm on the fence about the fences.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just.
But you're right about the advertisement of the things. We
need a city board, man, like a galt events calendar or something that's in.
Well, I think that galt. I don't know how much of that type FFA type stuff and whatever they do on the city of Galt. I think that maybe those people need to be reaching out to the city of Galt. And they do have the Galt community pages. The couple 2 or 3 Galt chatter, people of Galt, and the Galt friendly Galt neighborhood. Those 3 Facebook pages. So a lot of people do post. The people from FFA will post, but you have to find it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you're searching for it, I'm sure you'll find it. But if it's in your face, like we have one really good spot. I think it will work on this side. That's over by the Rayleighs. By the stop sign, if you had something flashing there when people were at the stop sign, they could read it. Oh, we have the car event going on this weekend over at the coffee shop, or
like you're saying, like a community board, and people could go and say, "Hey, we have this event coming up," and they'll get to put it on the community board.
Yes, man. Current event stuff, like on a digital board or something like that, man. I just don't know. I'm not too, I haven't been in. Inquiring or looking about where to put it, but we need something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I love all the small town events. I love, Farm to Fork, stuff that FFA does, all these events. That's what makes Galt small town. When we start losing that stuff or we don't have that stuff anymore, that's when the feeling, our town starts to go away.
We've been in this home now, I believe 8 years we've been here, and one of our big things we get on this side is when the Santa comes along, the Santa parade with all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We get that on this side. And they cut it out. Like 2 years ago, they cut it out. They didn't come over here, man. And I'm like,
yeah,
what the hell, man?
So let me tell you a little bit. So the lighting of the night parades we're talking about. So what they did is I've heard a lot of pushback about that. They were saying the parade route was too long and that it was just too hard and too cold and people whatever. But you know what? But I've been in that parade many times. We used to build every year. We do a float of some sort. Have the family or whatever. And I remember, having generators to power our lights, and we have the kids in there with the candy, we have the hot chocolate, whatever. And I'll tell you something, I used to love going down through neighborhoods on the east side, and you'd have all the neighborhoods out in the driveways.
Out there with their lawn chairs.
Fire pits going, and it was like what a great reason for your neighbors to come out that maybe don't even, I never met so-and-so that lives 4 houses down from me, but I just met them tonight. What a great idea. And so for them to say, oh, well, it's just too long, and it was too... Another thing I heard was the cost. And for me, I hate hearing that. I hate hearing, oh, we're going to limit a public event because of the cost. I mean, sometimes you have to put community value over monetary value.
That's a big one, man, because that's something everybody sees, especially the younger generation. Because we have those things. I don't know if you remember, but when we were kids, we used to go to the community center, Fairsight and Valley Oaks. Mm-hmm. The 4th graders would come together and sing this song. The 5th graders would come together and sing this song. The 6th graders would sing this song. Like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or Must Be Santa. Or we had these meshing of the 2 schools. And that parade, what it does is it meshes the 2 sides of town, the west and the east side. So that's something that I think needs to stay, man.
So, the concept was they go, oh, we'll shorten the parade. And what we'll do is we'll just make people come from the east side. We'll just have to travel over and then find a place on the west side to watch the parade. And that'll be a reason why we can get people to the west side. But I was like, that's not going to happen. Not everybody's going to do that. If they can't, it's convenient for them to just go a block over to the parade route or sit in their own driveway and serve hot chocolate and invite their neighbors with that.
That's another thing. You got a neighbor that lives on the parade route, so you go over and kick it with that neighbor over there.
But to bundle your kids up and transport them across town at night and watch a parade. And personally, I'll tell you something personally. For someone like me who would spend 2 days building a float, I don't want to build a float for 2 days to drive in a parade that lasts 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't mind a 4-hour parade. I mean, I know it was long. At the end of the parade, we were tired, right? But it was like it was such a cool event. It was so long. I didn't mind it. So, I was never in agreement with that.
We got to keep it, man. You're in the power to keep that stuff going too.
Well, I'm not in the power now, but
I plan on getting
a place to have some input.
We're gonna have a fellas float in for the one this year, dude. Yeah, we're doing it up, man.
Good.
I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, we got a toy drive coming out. Just one more shout out real quick. We got a toy drive coming out that benefits the CSD, which is the fire department in Galt. It's I don't have the date in front of me. It's I think it's December 8th, actually. December 8th, toy drive. It's going to be at the fire station on the other side of the freeway on the overall Guild Avenue. And it's going to be like, there'll be more details posted on Facebook and stuff like that floating around, but it's a car cruise in and drop off a toy kind of that's going to be called Cars for Kids.
Cars for Kids, yeah.
And we did it last year. It was a really success, but this year we have a little more time to plan. It's December 8th. I'll be posting stuff about it.
And then what I got to say, hey, you live here, man. Get involved. You know, you can make this place a better place to live just by doing something yourself, you know. That's kind of part of our show, too, is this is 20916. Because the 20916 happens right here. This is where it happens because we got 209 to the south. We got 916 to the north.
Yeah, we're the furthest. We're the northernmost. We're the northernmost 209 area code is Galt.
Yeah, and the southernmost 916 area code.
Mm-hmm.
So we're the meshing right here. But let's keep Galt safe. Let's keep Galt a good place to live, man. And I think you're making the right step. You're a person to put in the right direction. And that's something I wanted to say, too, about incumbents is, my process is if you don't like what's going on, don't vote for an incumbent. Put somebody new in there. And if we did that all the way down the line, we'd have new people in county government. We'd have new people in city government. We'd have new people in state government. And the biggest one that happened, and you know, man, in 2016 when Trump got voted in, that's nationwide. And now it's like worldwide because he's stretching it to China, to Germany, to Europe, to Canada.
And on that same note, what you just said, for all the people that are upset that their candidate get in, so for like people that are Hillary Clinton supporters or whatever, and they're upset because their candidate get in, blame nobody but yourself. Get out and vote. That's why voting is important. If you want to see your guy and there's somebody you want to see and you say, oh, I like that guy, I'd like to see him get in. Well, you better put your money where your mouth is. You need to get out there and vote.
You know what, dude? Do this. I've done it. All my kids vote. All my kids vote now. So and I tell them, educate yourself. But if you did this, I know we're probably going to have, 400 people. How many people watch this episode or whatever? Tell somebody else in Galt. Get one of your neighbors or somebody. Get one more person to vote. And that makes it better, man.
Voting for, if they're voting for me or anybody else. I'm not saying you have to vote because this is your chance for you to voice your opinion. Think about this. In a municipal election, this is what's unique about municipal election and local election. What other opportunity do you have to vote, and then go talk to the person that you're voting for, get a chance to talk to that person face to face, and then after you vote, if you're not happy with how the job they're doing, you could actually go and talk to that person face to face. I'm not really happy with the thing you've been doing, and I'm upset with that. What else do you vote for? Your governor, your congressman, your president? What other opportunities do you get where you can have that chance to vote for something, and then go and talk to that person?
And in Galt, everybody's approachable. It's not like you got you need security to detail and shit like that around you. No. You could talk to these people.
Somebody can come up to me on the street, talk to me about anything you want, and I'll always have that. Policy. I'm open-minded. That's what I'm so.
Well, I know we rolled over the time, but I'm going to throw it out there as what it is. I appreciate you coming out, man.
I appreciate having me again, Kev.
Yeah.
Always a good stuff.
All right. We'll see you guys next week. Hopefully Weller will be here. If not, we'll get somebody on. Love you guys.